Joining us now is Ben Sheehan. He is the author of a very funny and informative book, OMG, WTF Does the Constitution Actually Say? Ben, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Adam.
So, as everybody knows, Election Day and post-Election Day, it's going to be completely smooth no matter what, right?
Exactly.
So one of the things that's interesting about your book is it kind of lays out how vague the Constitution can be when it comes to elections and how much is left unsaid.
Well, a lot. I mean, really, the Constitution leaves the decisions around elections to the states. In Article 1, Section 4, really state legislatures get to have, dominion over the times, places, and manner of our elections, but Congress by law can make or alter those things. So while the logistics are largely left to the state level, Congress could change that. And they've done that in the past by making election day the same day across the country, and laws like the 1965 Voting Rights Act. But in terms of how many days of early voting we have, whether we can vote by mail, a lot of that stuff is left to the states.
Are there any areas that would be considered obscure to the public that might come into play on Election Day or the days and weeks afterwards?
Several. One is in the Constitution, the process, what happens after we count the electoral votes, and what happens if nobody gets a majority of electoral votes, or if there's a tie. The House would choose the president in that case, and they would do it as states, with each state getting one vote. So California, with its 53 representatives, would get one vote for the state. Wyoming, with its one representative, would get one vote for the state, and you need 26 states to win. And if there was a tie or no one got a majority of electoral votes for vice president, the Senate would choose the vice president, and it would be every senator voting, and you would need 51 to win. And that's starting January 6th and after. But there's also stuff that could go, sort of haywire between Election Day and that date.
And then the electors, I fully didn't realize that not every state has it like this, where the electors aren't bound. So you might win Wisconsin, but you might have some electors, according to the Electoral College rules there, go and vote for someone else.
Right. So about a third of states, 17 to be exact, don't have any laws binding their electors, mandating that their electors vote for the winner of the popular vote in the state. Some swing states that have no elector binding laws include Texas and Georgia and Pennsylvania. So it is possible that you could have some electors that don't vote for the person who wins the popular vote in the state. And there are even states that have those laws, but if the elector were to vote for somebody else, there's no penalty for doing that, and the vote still counts. So kind of ask the question, what's the point of having that law? And throughout history, we've had about 167 faithless electors casting votes for someone who didn't win their state, but none of those votes have ever tipped the balance of an election.
So take away the election stuff. What part of the Constitution, what specific section or line surprised you the most? That's the first thing at a party you talk about.
I would tell everyone at the party that they are qualified to be a Supreme Court justice. They have all the necessary qualifications to be Speaker of the House, Senate President pro tempore, and an elector, because there are absolutely no qualifications for any of those jobs in the Constitution.
All right. But you know what? Maybe you just inspired me. Speaking of inspiration, you are connected to the website Funny or Die. How did you move from that to something this, I know it's funny, but still this sophisticated?
So I grew up in D.C., and I was surrounded by politics for better or worse my entire life. It was my focus of study in school throughout my career in school. And so when I started at Funny or Die, I kind of naturally gravitated toward the more political projects. And I found it interesting and a personal challenge to take something that I thought was intriguing, fascinating, but might be boring to other people on its face, and try to make it interesting and engaging. So when I decided to try to do that with the Constitution, I tried to take it from a bit of a Funny or Die angle, and make something that I find interesting and may not be interesting to some audiences, but by presenting it in a new way through that Funny or Die lens, hopefully reach more people with the information.
Well, you picked a perfect time to release a book like this. You're going to be talking with the Jewish Book Festival folk. What is it like to be asked by a group in Rochester, New York, the Jewish Book Festival, to take part in a talk like this?
Well, for my Jewish upbringing, I've always learned and through my religious schooling that it's important to be involved in the world and to be paying attention to what's going around you or going on around you, and to get involved in government. So civic education and an understanding of government and participating in government has always been something that I consider part of my Jewish faith, and it was an honor to be asked to do this talk, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Very good. So I followed you on Twitter and I scrolled down. It seems like you're studying the polling fairly closely. Are you putting out any predictions at this point?
I'm not putting out any predictions, but I am seeing some pretty interestingly close races across the country, all up and down the ballot. But I think some states that we may have, traditionally thought as red states or blue states are coming into play. One state of particular interest to me is Texas. It's leading the country in early voting. Young people are voting at historic numbers, and I think because it's the fastest growing state in the country, the demographics are changing, and I think you're going to have some really close races all the way up and down the ballot.
Very good. Ben, anything else you'd like to add that I might have missed?
No, the book is available right now. It's also available in Spanish. If that is your preferred language, you can get it in Spanish. And there's also a journal that specifically explains the issue of gerrymandering, and I can be found at that Ben Sheehan on Twitter and Instagram.
I forgot to ask you, you were on Bill Maher recently. What was that like?
It was a really surreal experience. I've been a fan for a long time. I watched Politically Incorrect growing up in middle school and in high school. I was that cool. So it was very surreal to be actually on the show and talking with him.
Nice guy?
Great guy.
Yeah, very cool. Congratulations for all your success in this book. Looking forward to hearing you here in the Rochester area, if virtually.
Thanks so much, Adam. I appreciate it.